Thank you for being patient. Let's get started. Let me just see how many people have joined. All right, let's get started. Let me share my screen. Or we can do whiteboard, or we'll keep switching between whiteboard and the screens. Can someone confirm if my whiteboard is visible?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, thanks, Ankur.
Mm.
All right, so I'm expecting that people here are either the ones who have received the ITA or expecting the ITA. So let's just the ID purpose of this session. So I'm Abhishek RCIC, as most of you would know, and I like to conduct my sessions I like to keep them fluid, like to keep them dynamic. I like to keep questions coming in, okay, so that I can answer as many questions as I can. Okay, not always possible to answer all the questions within the time limit because I do like to do some bit of talking to impart the information that I want to impart as part of the session. But again, it does not mean that feel free to interrupt me during the session through either posting your question on chat or even interrupting, raising your hand, or just maybe unmuting your mic and speaking out. So yeah, let's just try and get started and maximize the time that we have. All right. So for people who have received ITA or people who are expecting an ITA, the critical thing here is to understand that the IRCC is changing the dynamics of the game. And it started about 3 months ago, wherein, and it's not just with me, it's entire landscape of immigration. Could be because of the sentiments that are prevailing. It could be due to N factors. I don't want to get into those, but fact of today is that IRCC is very happy refusing PR applications. Earlier, the philosophy was entirely reversed, that IRCC was very happy to approve PR applications as far as you are able to provide them sufficient documentation. But let me stop this. So earlier, what used to happen is that IRCC was very happy to approve applications, and they were only looking for sufficient evidence that will prove what person was trying to do, basis on the basis of what we call balance of probabilities. The rules have not changed. That IRCC is still expected to apply the balance of probabilities when reviewing the applications, but unfortunately, they have increased the standards on how their own definition of balance of probabilities. So something that may be very logical to you, something that may be very logical to any person looking at your file, may not be logical to IRCC anymore. And there are multiple factors that have led to it, but that's just reality of today. That more careful you are with your file, you are giving yourself chances of not getting refused. So when you get an ITA, what happens after that? Okay, so once you get the ITA, the process goes in that one, it's not what I wanted. The first thing will happen is that you have to accept it and call it accepting or whatever. But yeah, you have to fill in a very small questionnaire. I hope it is visible enough. So you fill in a quick questionnaire. So there's also sort of an acceptance, sort of. Okay, does not mean that you have every right to decline your ITA or just let it pass and it will be declined automatically. So quick questionnaire, that quick questionnaire will lead you to a page wherein, so in this questionnaire, what do you have to do is mostly talk about your families and dependents who will be part of the application or who will not be part of application, meaning that anyone who is using non-accompanying spouse or kids, they have to declare about here. Now, second, we'll make it a bigger box. So this is where you are expected to put in so these are all the online application forms for all the active applicants. So what does online application forms consists of? So it's in, again, there are basic information, but then there is address history. Also, let's call it the details, relative details. And in this case of relatives, it is about parents and siblings. And why is that needed? Because going forward, there may be certain immigration steps you are taking that can help support your parents and siblings. And this becomes one of the proofs that they were already declared by you. Okay, then at some point in time, there would be address history. There would be the part wherein you have to put in personal history. There is also education history. There is work history. And then there is travel history. So those are some of the key things that you will have to fill in. Now, try not to have discrepancy, meaning from your past application to IRCC to this application, try and keep things as consistent as possible. So sometimes it's not always possible. Okay, but see what best you can do. And another very strong advice I give, and some of who you are there on my group would have seen it, is that education history will be pre-populated from your profile. Work history will be pre-populated from your profile. Do not change them. At least not unless you made some mistake, do not change them. If you made a mistake, then change it, but provide a letter of explanation in what would be the next set of documents, which would be the actual physical documents, and we'll talk about them in a while. Okay, so
Abhishek, there is a question if you'd like to take it as.
if you can just read me the question, Uncle.
Yeah, I have. It's regarding LOE. Are we supposed to create one LOE and attach in the document client information section, or do we need to attach it with corresponding documents like work records or education
We'll come
records?
to it, but it's a very, very good question. Okay. I personally don't like, in my LOE, only thing you will find is probably a work permit and a birth certificate. That's it. Okay. Because those two are optional documents and there is no section for it. I like to put in a cover letter for each of the document I'm submitting. Okay. Like I said, we'll talk about it. And then that letter, every cover letter then presents your story to the officer as a sort of a story, and not that when officer sees your education documents, they just see heaps of document with no context at all. So that's where this cover letter and any explanation that you have to provide helps. Like I said, birth certificate, Prakhar, birth certificate is an optional document, but I do like to put it in. You won't see it in the list of mandatory documents. Birth certificate, neither work permit. Okay, so coming to the details. So relative is fairly. So again, a suggestion here to everyone that try and put these details upfront in some document before filling it in your file so that you can review them and also you can refer back to them in case IRCC comes back to you at a later point in time. Because what happens is that if you do not note the details that you fill in here, that you will not be able to access them once you submit your application. Because once you submit your application, it is really gone. Okay. And it is submitted to IRCC and there is no way for you to view it. So say IRCC comes back to you and says, I need you to refill this information or re-provide me this information to ensure that there is consistency between the original submission and the any subsequent request, and it has happened with one of my clients. Okay, so that's why I'm saying any subsequent request that the consistency is there. So suggestion here is that keep all of this information in a single place and then use that as source of truth for filling any information on the IRCC website. Address history, there is a lot of confusion around it. IRCC does not go and verify each of your addresses. Just stick to what you have done where you were staying as a resident. Okay, if you made a 5-day trip to US, don't worry too much about it. If you want to break it down, break it down. If you don't want to break it down, IRCC won't come back to you and say that, okay, for 5 days you were traveling, you have not given me that address. It does not work that way. Okay, and IRCC will not get into those nitty-gritties. But say, yeah, if you are going on a vacation for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it does not harm that for that particular period because it's a little bit of a judgment call. But also IRCC does not nitpick on, at least till now, they don't nitpick on this. Okay, in address history, what they are really looking for is your place of residence. And also make sure that if you are the one who have submitted any previous applications to IRCC, that you don't end up in any discrepancy. That if you have declared a certain residence to IRCC in previous applications, make sure for that period of time that you are using that same residence. So that's for address history. Any questions, feel free to reach out.
Abhishek, it says education documents is equal to 10th plus 12th plus degree.
No. The education information, when you are creating your profile, means your secondary, which for me, I personally include 11th and 12th or equivalent. So your secondary and any post-secondary. That's the information that you fill in the profile. When it comes to documents, it's only post-secondary documents that I fill in. Secondary, I only put it there if, say, a person only has secondary education, meaning that in some cases there are spouses that who only have secondary education and it gives you, I think, 2 points and it can create a difference in some cases. So in those cases, yes, I will put in secondary, or else for document purposes, I never put in secondary or high school or middle school education certificates. They have never been useful or they have never been asked for by IRCC and not what they are looking for. But post-secondary, yes, I like to put in all the post-secondary educations. And again, this is a very good question in the sense that take a judgment call that based on any of the future jobs that you have done after your education, is there any job that demands that you put in any of your previous certificates? Okay, if a job demands that you put in any of your previous certificates, even if it is not giving you any value in terms of points, make sure you provide those documents to prove your employment requirements. Okay, or else in terms of documents, IRCC is looking for documents for which you have claimed points pretty much. Okay,
Abhishek, then there is another thing.
let
It
me just
says,
complete this, Ankur, once.
sure,
Okay,
sure, sure.
because a
Good.
lot of questions are coming on the side of documents. Okay, and we'll come to that. Okay, so in terms of if there is any question that is for information, please feel free to read out to me.
Well, yeah, it says that what if someone lose his or her job while IT is in progress? Does it
Does
impact his PR application?
no, it does not, unless of course you have not completed your experience, it does not impact your application.
Where do we mention travel history? I mean, if we go to home country,
No, so I'll come to that.
what about foreign cash job? Documents, claim point in profile.
I'll come to that. Okay, I have
Okay.
those in my mind.
If I transferred from a college to a university, for the college, do I put it as not completed or in good standing but no degree awarded?
Whatever was the real status. If you completed the program, put it in. If you did not complete the program, you can just skip it. And if you want, you can mention it in your education history. Like I said, that put cover to every document. And in that cover letter, you can absolutely mention it that I did start in this college but did not complete my program. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, so just moving on a little bit here, Ankur. So, and I will come back to some of the questions that I've skipped right now.
Sure.
So, in terms of education history, in your profile, I'll repeat, I like to put in the secondary and all the post-secondary educations, okay, irrespective of the points that are being claimed. primarily because they could become reason for proving your employment requirement. That say you did masters in something. Okay, you did masters in, it's a very common example for a lot of my clients that they do masters in say regulatory affairs. Okay, but they have education back home, say as a civil engineer. Okay, so even though masters from Canada is giving them maximum points, but that civil engineering degree may help them prove their work experience back home, that how did they work as a civil engineer or a project coordinator. Or even in Canada, they can choose to work as a civil engineer or a project, not probably civil engineer, maybe civil engineering technologist, or as a project coordinator or a construction manager. And then they have their India education or foreign education to prove that, okay, I was working, I had this education, I had this work experience based on which I am working in the domain I'm working in right now. So, meaning that even though it's not fetching you points, but it is helping you prove your employment requirements. Moving on to work history. In work history, in your profile, people who have not received ITA, try to put in the things that you want to claim points for and for which you think you will be able to secure all the documents. Because, or else, work history is one section which results in 90% of the refusals. Just a very random number, 90%, but just point here being that maximum refusals happen because of work history. Okay, not because of any other reason. Okay, and we'll talk about it in detail as well. Personal history. Personal history is where you are expected to put everything that you did from the time you turned 18 years old or in past 10 years. And that being that in those 10 years or past 18 years, it could be that you were not employed, you were employed, or you were studying. So don't take anything that, if say you completed, say your high school, secondary school, and you are waiting for your bachelor's to start, there would be some gap of couple of months, just put as unemployed. And then it would say reason for, and what activity would you were doing in that time. You can simply say waiting for my education, higher education to start. So unemployed does not put any negative on your situation. If you were unemployed for the period, just put unemployed. Overlapping experiences, overlapping activities are accepted. That you could be a student studying, but also you could be working alongside. Try to be as close to truth as possible in personal history. IRCC again does not go and verify and will ask you for proofs of that. Okay, but of course, expectation is that you are truthful and as close to reality as possible. Okay. Second thing is the last thing, travel history. Answering the question that you are expected to only provide travel history of your travel to place other than your country of citizenship or your country of residence. Meaning, in most of the cases, country of residence could be Canada, country of citizenship could be anything, your foreign country. Any travel to and from those countries, you are not expected to provide, but any third country apart from those two is where you are expected to provide your travel history accurately. Any questions on the forms and online information so far? Okay, and
So Abhishek, there is one question from that same participant who had asked regarding the documents. Rather, what he's asking is that only uh, degree certificate is enough.
degree certificate usually is enough. Okay, unless of course that you did a VES or any ECA for it, put that ECA. I personally like degree certificate and transcripts along with the ECA if it is required for foreign education, or of course it is, if it is not a foreign education or something that does not need ECA to give you points,
Mm-hmm.
then I still like to put in degree certificate and transcripts or slash mark sheets.
Okay. Uh, what if 1 month or few days gap between two jobs? This is from Hardik Mangla. Hardik, since there are a lot of questions which are actually coming in, would you like to kind of, really ask this question, in one go because it's kind of, breaking actually. You're not able to make any, you're not able to correlate between your previous question and this one. So would you
Hardik,
like to say?
go ahead if you want. Just unmute yourself and Neha, I'll come to you. I see your raised hand. But Hardik,
Yeah.
go ahead if you want.
Thank you so much. So basically, my question is like, uh, back home I have experience. I have three job, but when I changing the job, I have a few days or a 1 month of gap. So how can I justify that gap?
which is fine. It can happen. But point is, my bigger question is that are you qualifying in CEC or FSW?
I already get invitation for healthcare.
In CEC.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so if you're CEC, you are only claiming points for your foreign experience, meaning it can be broken down. If, say, you were qualifying in FSW, requirements would have been different with regards to continuous experience, where there cannot be any breaks. But for you, you are all right. All of your, you don't have to justify anything. Okay, just put everything as is in your personal history, and nobody is looking and asking you for why you took break between your jobs. I hope
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Okay. Yes, Neha.
So I have 3 years of Canadian experience in which I had to visit my home country for I think 1.5 month. So I received invitation on the basis of 3 years experience. So should I decline the invitation or accept it?
You can reach out to me individually as well because this is personal question. But if you don't mind me asking, that when did you complete your 3 years of experience, including your 1.5 months of visit back home?
Uh, Actually, it will be completed in January 13.
So basically, you don't have enough time to cover for that 1.5 month and complete your 3 years.
1.5 month, yeah.
Yeah, so if you are sitting with a good score and you think you will get another ITA, I'll personally suggest to decline, and I don't say this lightly. Okay, and it is not an easy decision to decline, but if you say you're sitting with score, and I'm sure you're sitting with, you got a healthcare invite. Trichy, again, that's what I said, that you can reach out to me individually. I really need to understand your knock
Y-
code, the situation that you may be in, that whether we can expect another invite for you or not. If you don't expect another invite, your PGWP is expiring very soon. It could be a different decision. But if we think that you will get another invite, you have some time on your PGWP, it could be a different decision.
Okay, can I just my work permit is expiring coming March this March.
So you are in a very precarious situation.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
and so your okay, so maybe it can help others as well. So your 1.5 month of travel, was it paid or was it all unpaid?
it was paid.
Then go ahead. Okay, just I'll say delay your application submission to as late as possible. So you got it in on 10 December, right? So you have till 10 February around that time to submit.
9 February, yes.
So I'll say that delay your submission to say about 2nd, 3rd, 5th February. Get a letter from your employer on February 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and or February 3rd, basically delaying it. Okay, put in all your pay stubs till that point. And again, it's 6 weeks is a very long period to be outside, even if it was paid. Okay, but just hope that IRCC won't come back to you, and largely you would have covered your experience by then, at least most of it, meaning that out of 6 weeks, you would have covered 4 weeks at least. Okay, and 2 weeks of paid experience is something that IRCC is all right with, generally 2, even 3 weeks sometimes. So I think it can work for you. Okay, if I were you, I mean, I'll keep an eye out. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
just delay the submission of my application to as late as possible so that I can accumulate the paid work time.
Yeah, one more thing that I was hoping to increase my score by giving IELTS exam, CELPIP exam actually. So I have already booked my CELPIP
That that
exam.
that train is now gone. Okay, I mean, that is no use. Officer won't accept that result. Officer will accept the result what you claimed in your profile.
Oh, I cannot update that new result.
Please don't do that. Okay, that's another thing that I said again, and I'll say again that please do not, as part of education history, there is also something called language score. Okay, please don't try and change anything that you have claimed in your profile originally.
Even if I have booked it before I got an
How would
ITA.
officer, you claimed certain points, right? You got
Yeah.
your ITA based on the points, I mean, a certain language score that you claimed, right? So even if after the fact you increase your score, why would officer accept that score? Because ITA was issued on December 10th,
Okay.
right? It was, even if it was, say you gave your exam on December 9th, but you did not update the score, still officer will refuse that score, because it does not matter to officer when you gave your exam. It is what matters to officer is what you claimed in your profile, based on which you are getting the ITA, and those are the parameters against which officer is evaluating your file and application that you are submitting to them.
Okay.
Okay, so
Thank you so
please don't
much.
get adventurous with changing anything that you claimed in your profile. Only thing that I say is work history. That, like you said, you have not completed 3 years. Give yourself some time and complete the three years, because that is not your fault. That is IRCC system that they count experience on month and year. So meaning that at 2.9 years, they gave you 3 years of experience points.
Yeah.
So that is something of a leeway that we have, but don't try to change too many things from your profile to the application submission.
So if I put my application with this experience, so will they give me like misrepresentation?
Misrepresentation is not something that happens. Okay, so this is not misrepresentation. Misrepresentation is something where you are lying out of your teeth. Okay, and they clearly catch you lying about something. You're not lying about something. It is IRCC system that gave you points. You complete your experience, and 1.5 months thing that you worked from back home. Again, like I said, it's a little bit of a subjective situation, but complete as much time as possible over
Okay.
your 3 years of experience. So which could be about 3.5 weeks. And I think largely you will be all right, because then it will be a very subjective situation and very hard for officer to say that it's not Canadian experience. And looking at your pay stubs, sometimes it just gets swept under the rug. That officer wouldn't even care that, okay, you were paid for all the time. You were on paid vacation, but your pay stubs will show it was paid vacation. So it can work that way, or officer has the right to question it. But I mean, that is a chance you will have to take, because of the fact that we don't know if there would be a healthcare drop before your PGWP expires. But that does not constitute as misrepresentation in any manner.
Okay. Do I need to provide an explanation, letter of explanation that I went back home for 1.5 month, or just mention it in travel history and submit my
I
application?
won't even mention it in travel history, because you went to your home country and you don't have to provide details of your travel to home country.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just provide all the pay stubs. Okay, and pay stubs will clearly say that you were on paid leave. IRCC has a record of your travel. So if officer joins the dot, yes, they can come back to us. But if it were to me, I wouldn't try and explain, because see, it's a very tricky situation here. Okay, and like I said, that sometimes I have to get the full view of the documents to provide an exact or accurate answer. But in general rule of thumb is you don't try to explain things that you cannot explain. Okay, so in this case, you can say that, yes, I went back home and was on paid vacation, but that's all you can say. Okay,
Yeah.
but then also you are opening yourself up to the fact, okay, now officer may start looking into your things deeper. Okay, so I think this is one of the situations wherein I don't have a very clear answer. Okay, but from what you're saying, I may suggest to not try and explain situation, because it is not really explainable.
Okay.
Okay, just
Thank
try
you
and
so
cover
much.
as much experience as you can from those 6 weeks and then submit your application. Okay, Neha?
Okay. Thank you so much.
All
Thank
right.
you.
And sorry, others, I
Abhishek,
took time on
yeah.
it, because I think this may be something that could have helped few others as well.
So there are flurry of questions, Abhishek,
Okay, I'll
waiting for
come to
you.
that.
Actually,
Okay, let me
uh,
just quickly cover the documents, and then I'll just go straight on all questions. Okay, because I
good.
have some very important things to tell in terms of documentation. Okay, I hope people picked on the online application form side of things. Okay, so let's move on to the documents. Okay, so what are the documents you are expected to provide? Passport. So for passport, make sure you are providing all the pages that are not just the bio pages, but also all the pages that are stamped and all the visa pages. Okay, so it is bio, visas, and all the immigration stamps. Okay, don't need to provide old passport. Officer is not looking for that. If you want, you can put in something like old passport and then add the documents. It doesn't harm, but it is not something that will lead to anything. Then you need to provide a photo which has to be in a format which is defined by IRCC. Just go to Google, write PR photograph. There is only one link. It's a one pager and it will come with a very clear guideline on what you need. And also go to Staples or Shoppers and they know what to do. Okay. Then So there is passport, there is photo, there is medical, which is there are a lot of questions going around that. If you're in Canada, yes, your medical is likely valid for 5 years if you got it done within the period of 5 years. But for anyone whose medical is expiring, especially in first half of 2021, I suggest to get a new medical done so that your process is not unnecessarily delayed at some point in time. Because likely it is not that your PR will be, your application may be approved, but there are administrative processes like P1, P2, then ECOPR that are involved, and it can be possible that your entire process is delayed by outside of the timelines that you got your medical expires, which is where IRCC may ask you to get your medical done again, and then that may delay your PR process. So anyone, again, it's just a very general guidance. Okay, it's your judgment call, but anyone whose medical is expiring before June 2026 ideally should get it done again. But then it's just a suggestion. Even if it is expiring in March or January or February, your application will still be accepted and not refused. Police clearance, again, a lot of people have questions on that. Your police clearance is valid even if it is many years old, if you have not stayed in that country for more than 6 months since the day police clearance was received. So your police clearance it will be active, and you can definitely cite IRCC sources for that as well. It is very, very clearly defined. Then birth certificate I mentioned, it's an optional document, and I put it in the additional documents, so don't worry too much about it. Okay, if you are a couple, you are expected to have your marriage certificate in there. Don't have to prove too much on relationship. Okay, so what else? Work permit again goes as part of additional documents to prove your valid status. If you're on, say, somebody is on visitor applied implied status, maintained status, they can provide the proof of that you have applied for it. What else are we looking at? So work permit, study permit, passport, photo, medical, PCC. Then the key documents are education. That works, Prakhar. It just came as a pop-up to me. So your Indian PCC from March 2025 is valid. Education and then work history. So or work experience documents. Okay, so for education, we did touch upon it that I like to put in a cover letter or call it letter of explanation. And below that, I like to put in an index. And then I like to put in all the documents. So what are those documents? If you don't mind secondary, but what I do is all the post-secondary documents. And what are all the documents? They are the certificate and your transcripts / mark sheet. If you have the VES or ECA, you can add ECA to it. Okay. Again, not mandatory, but again, like I said, for those who missed, it's a judgment call, especially if some of this proves your employment requirement for some of the work experiences that say your master degree won't prove. So that's that. And also in this document, I like to prove in the screenshot of language results.
Abhishek, small doubt. Can I ask?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Abhishek, my doubt is regarding the education document. Uh, uh, I'm speaking for CEC Expres Entry. So, for the education documents, do I have to consider my education documents of my high school and my 12th as well?
No, I was alluding to that a little while earlier, that I personally never put any secondary documents. Secondary documents can be or should be provided only for the people, say someone has an accompanying spouse and they are claiming their education just to be secondary education. Okay, so in
No,
that,
I'm talking about the high school documents.
no, I mean by high school, again, it can have many definition. I'm talking about 11th and 12th. Anything before 11th and 12th anyway does not have any value.
Okay, but I think I have with I think with your discussion a day earlier, you mentioned everything once you turn 18. After that, you have to put
Oh,
everything.
you see, you are now confusing. One is documents, other is information.
Okay.
Okay, so information goes into personal history, but anything that goes into personal history is not something for everything that you are supposed to provide documents for.
Okay. Can
You're
can you
supposed to provide
differentiate
documents.
between them? What did you meant
So
by that?
differentiation is very simple. So in your profile, whatever you claimed in education and work
Okay.
history is something you are supposed to prove. Okay, a rule of
Okay.
thumb is anything for which you are getting points is what you have to prove.
Okay.
Anything for which you did not claim points is something you don't have to prove.
Got it.
Anything you have to prove, how do you prove it? By providing the documents.
I understand.
Okay. So moving on. So education, repeating, cover letter, index. Again, it is not mandatory. That's how I like to do it. And that's what I'm suggesting. So that officer has clear view of what they are looking at in terms of documents. And they are not just looking at a bunch of documents and they have to make sense out of it and keep mapping it to your education history. Okay, so that's the reason I like to present it a little bit clean. Coming to work experience. Okay, so in terms of, and also it's important that say some of the people they don't, some people say that work in fashion industry or marketing. Okay, they may not have done a formal education, but they may have done a vocational or some secondary course that prepared them for that job, but it does not have a certificate to it. Okay, so yes, you can add it to your personal history education as well as a education that you did for which you were in good standing but did not receive certificate. But also you can add that proof here of your good standing in your education documents, not to claim points, but to prove your employment requirement for the job that you did based on that education. So don't confuse that you have to put in everything. But what I'm relating to is that you put everything for which is giving you maximum points. And then you also put in whatever you have that can help improve your employment requirements. Okay, so I will be coming to all the questions very soon. Okay, but I need to talk about this and it because this is the most important part. Okay, so work documents and everyone, please keep your ears, eyes, everything very, very open right now. So work for work documents, this is where maximum refusals happen. Okay, what you are expected to provide here. Now, at least what I am providing. Okay, earlier what I used to provide would be an employment letter. Okay, employment letter with start date, end date if applicable, or saying that currently, presently working. Then it would have the position. It would have your annual or hourly salary. It will have your duties slash responsibilities. It would be signed by the authorized signatory with their contact details on the company letterhead. Okay, so that is what the IRCC expects. And then what after that? After that, earlier I would put some scattered pay stubs. Like if say it was 1 year of employment or say 2 years of employment, I pick 3 months in the beginning, three months somewhere in the middle, then 3 months for the next year and 3 months towards the end. Okay, and used to work like a charm. But now I put in all pay stubs. Okay, because say you are claiming 2 years of experience, how would officer know that you were working for 2 years and you were paid for 2 years? There were no breaks. Okay, so we are proving that beyond doubt by putting in all the pay stubs. That's what I am doing right now. Again, I'm not saying that if you don't put all the pay stubs, it will not work. Sometimes what happens is that the file, it grows so big that it's impossible to put in everything that you want to put in. Someone may have 4 years of experience. Okay, and imagine someone with 4 years of experience paid weekly, it will be impossible to put in all the pay stubs. Okay, so take your judgment call, but this is the ideal situation that I'm trying to tell you. Okay, then I also like to put in now, because now IRCC is saying that, okay, pay stubs is good, but that's not good enough for me. Okay, I need a secondary proof that you were paid. Okay, so and this bank statement with salary deposit is something they are asking for. Also, there was some pop-up with regards to cash being paid in cash, still saying it is accepted, but it is being misused as well. The reason that bank statements with salary deposit highlighted very clearly help prove that it was, even if it was cash paid in bank, if say you were paid cash and you were depositing in bank, but if you are paid in cash and there is no bank trail to it, then you don't have any burden, right? That you can get any employment letter from anyone and say that I was paid in cash, and don't have to prove anything. That's the reason that IRCC is really looking for bank statements with salary deposits to establish that it was a genuine paid employment. And the last thing is optional, but what I try to do is put in tax forms. Okay, so what are tax forms? Are the forms you get from employer for the salary you receive for that particular tax year. Like in Canada, tax year is from January to December. And at the end of it, we receive a T4. I know for India that in India, we have tax year from April till March. And then at the end of it, we receive something called Form 16. Again, not everyone receives it depending upon their tax bracket. But if you have them, please add them. Okay, so this way, these are the 4 documents that I absolutely like to add. And again, don't get me wrong, I understand that it's not always possible to have all 4. Sometimes even the employment letter is very difficult to secure. But I'll say employment letter, do whatever you can, but please try and secure it. Okay, IRCC is very, very strict now. Earlier, we would provide affidavits, we would provide letters from supporting letters from your say supervisor, manager, colleagues, and it used to work fairly easily. Okay, but now IRCC will just come back, give us a letter from your employer. Okay, so beg, plead, do whatever you can, but try and get the employment letter with all of the things that are stated. And I really hope that nobody has to go through the situation wherein they are not able to get the letter and IRCC does not accept the alternate evidence they are providing. Still not saying they won't, okay, but they are getting stricter. Okay, and why are jobs and duties necessary is to establish the knock code. And again, it's just a suggestion that for foreign experience, I don't like employers mentioning knock code because I don't expect, especially the foreign employers, to be doing their research and figuring out the knock code for you, which is not their system. Okay, and that is acceptable, but burden is still on you to establish the knock code properly by doing the mapping on ESDC website or knock ESDC website. And also, say if your letter has a knock code mentioned, it is still possible officer may say that I don't agree with that knock code. Okay, so just do your due diligence when it comes to knock code and mapping them to your duties and responsibilities. And other suggestion here, do not copy paste the duties of the knock code from knock ESDC website straight away. Do not try to paraphrase them by giving to ChatGPT. Okay, if you have to figure out the knock codes or the responsibility duties, I suggest people to go to the job postings and get the statements from there if you're not able to come up with the right statement or your HR is not able to come up with the right statements. But do not copy paste it from ESDC website straight away. Okay, that officer can say that you simply gave these responsibilities to your employer and they have pasted that in your letter. And I don't believe these are genuine responsibilities that you fulfilled. Okay, so be smart about it. Okay, and don't make decisions that may land you in trouble on that one. Okay, so that another important thing that IRCC is now looking for, that whether all of your employment have been declared in all of your previous applications. And please hear every word very clearly, okay? All of the employment that you are claiming points for in all of your previous applications, meaning if you declared something in study permit, but if say you started declaring things in PGWP or your TRB application and you missed it, IRCC has at least are taking that discretion to not accept that experience. Okay, can you change it? You cannot. Okay, but it would always be advised that you go through your previous applications and at least have the full view of the situation that what you're going through. Okay, and at least if you are prepared with that, in case IRCC comes back, and again, it is not something that can be fixed because it is in past. Okay, but at least it is something that you can be aware of. Okay. And again, like I said, I like to put in all bank statements. I preferably like to put in all pay stubs, all bank statements with salary deposits, but it is not always possible due to sometimes because of the length of the document, and we only have 4 MB limit.
Just tell me page go.
The quick just popped out.
Oh,
60%. If someone can go on mute. So Rohit just popped out 60-70%. I'll likely say that 80%, 75 to 90% is a good figure. They are getting finicky about it. Okay. I personally, I don't even like to talk about refusals, but I actually had a refusal of the person who was working in finance domain. And in finance domain, sometimes the responsibilities are just scattered. Okay. And we determined a certain knock code, but IRCC did not agree with it. And it was matching about 50-60%. And there was no other knock code we could figure out better for him. But IRCC refused that case because they felt that knock code was not matching with the responsibilities. It's your best judgment call. Okay, I can tell you that, like I said, even I still look at those responsibilities for the application that was refused, and I probably will still come up with the same set of knock codes. But then I will add some more details. So this person, for we ordered GCMS notes for this person to understand what officer was thinking. And as per officer, he felt that those were administrative assistant responsibilities and not a finance officer responsibilities. But things are changing. Earlier, what used to happen is administrative assistant is still, I know it is a lot of information to absorb, try and absorb as much as you can. Okay. Earlier, what used to happen is that officer will look at the responsibilities. They will look at a knock code. Say I claimed a tier 1 knock code. Officer say I don't agree with it. I think it's a tier 3 knock code. Okay, but they won't refuse the application because tier 3 knock code is still acceptable, right? For counting as Canadian experience or foreign experience. But now they're simply saying that knock code you have chosen, I don't agree with the knock code. That's why I'm refusing your application. Okay, so things are just getting very, very dire in that senses. And how to determine the right knock code is still the best judgment call that you can take. Okay, just put in due diligence. Nobody can say 100%. If you ask 4 different people, 5 different experts, they may come up with different knock codes if responsibilities are not very clear. Okay, so that's the main thing I had to cover. I hope everybody captured everything that I.
No, let it go. Let us talk for 8 hours for how much? Let it go.
Okay, can someone go on mute?
Yeah, excuse me, would you go on mute,
Or who
please?
is it? If you can tell me, I can put them on mute myself. Breaks the flow.
They have already muted. It's G781W.
That's fine. It can happen. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Abhishek,
Now I'm ready to take all the questions. Okay. I'll extend beyond
oh,
block a little bit. I have
yeah.
meeting at 2:30, so I'll try and fit in as many questions as I can in next 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we'll kind of, really take them down, and if in case we are not able to handle them, we'll revert to them by mail. So don't feel that we are not answering it. We'll try our best. Abhishek, there was a question about what about foreign cash jobs, documents, claim point in profile.
Okay. So, and see, again, you have to, I am not the one to judge, but I really hope it was an honest job and it is not something that you are creating to get the points. If it was an honest job, try and go back to your employer, get the employment letter in this format. Okay, likely I'm assuming that because it was a cash job, we will not get any of the last two. Try and at least secure the pay stubs, or in lieu of pay stubs, cash receipts from your employer. Okay, it's not tough for accountants to make those cash receipts. Try your best to prove that. Try your best to explain in the cover letter without going into long details and sounding desperate that where you were working, that cash is, and at the point in time when you were working, cash was usually the prevalent method of payment, and you don't come from a say a tier 3 tier 1 country, tier 1 city, that where online payments are a norm. Okay, from where you come from, hopefully that's the situation with you. If you are from a tier 1 country, okay, and paid in cash, can make very difficult to justify. I can tell you, for smaller towns, smaller cities where cash economy is still prevalent, you may still have a case to make. Okay, again, it's a subjective situation. I don't have a direct answer to it, but at least get the employment letter, at least get the cash receipts that you were paid. And I'm really hoping that experience was declared previously in all your applications, because if not, then I can tell you 100% it won't be accepted. It's true for every other experience, but especially for the cash experience. Forget it, it will be accepted if it was not declared previously. Yes,
With continuation, sorry, with continuation to that, Abhishek, I have been paid normally via bank accounts, but it was like 5 years back. Do I have to get the bank statements and or
please
what?
try
Like,
and do it. Please, I know it's not easy. Okay, maybe that bank account itself is not active, but please try
yeah,
and put your better effort to get it, because the statements are there with the bank. Okay, they are supposed to keep records for many, many years. Okay, yes, they may not oblige to you because you are not even their active customer, but see if you can pull some strings, figure out some way to secure those documents. It will really benefit you.
okay, because I asked my employer to give me the employment letter, my job offer letter, and the relieving letter as well with NOC code and the rules and responsibilities as mentioned in the IRCC website as well. But the account it was a salary account which I closed before coming to Canada, and I'm not very sure like if I can get the
Just
bank
try
statement.
and reach out to them. Try and reach out to them. Okay, try and
Okay.
I'm sure that if you try finding some rules and regulation, you will be able to find that for how long banks are supposed to keep the information for. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you may be able to fight this out a little bit and get the information. Okay, because I know that people, it's the challenge with the closed account, but people have been able to secure bank statements for past 10 years even.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Abhishek.
Okay.
Abhishek, so we have a flurry of questions actually, so we might need to keep it short actually, because I think it would be in the interest of everybody and time as
I
well.
mean, see, I'll just
Abhishek,
go long where I feel that an answer may help multiple people on
mhm.
the forum. Okay.
Right, right, right. So next question is, what if
Hey,
the
let's
gap of
talk a little bit. I just want to impart another little bit of an information.
Mhm,
I'll
mhm.
stop this sharing on whiteboard. I hope everybody captured this. Okay, or else I can, most of you are part of the group, so I can share it there as well. Okay, so what I'll
Kindly send us now.
quickly want to share is one link. Okay, I can put it on chat, but also for everybody's information. I'm not sharing my screen, right?
No, not yet.
Able to see the screen, right? It says application for permanent
Yeah,
resident.
yeah, pretty much.
So
Yes.
this is the link that you can follow, and which is what officers usually follow, because this is what is called an operational instructions and guidelines. So this is based on which your application is evaluated. Just trying to tell to someone, right, that GCMS is the place where all of your applications are sitting. And this is the document checklist and some of the details that you can follow through, right? That, like I was saying, that if you have not stayed for more than 6 months in a row, that within last 10 years, that your PCC will remain active. Okay, so all of this information that I was imparting, a lot of it you will find on this page. Okay,
Abhishek, you may post this link on chat as well.
yes, I will just do it. Okay, so I'm just the screenshot of what I did, and yeah, this is something that people can benefit from. Okay. Point I'm trying to make here is that just don't rely on AI, ChatGPT, Google. They are good sources, but this is the government source. Okay. And for whatever you're doing, you cannot rely on your friends. Okay. Or someone somewhere always has something different from the source they are referring to, template they are referring to. And I literally urge people to just don't go by what they are hearing on different places, even what I say or anybody else says. Okay, if they are trying to do things, because I can only impart general information, in some cases, some specific information, but still I don't have view of your profile. Okay, I'm only providing you information based on what I hear from you. But if you're trying to do things on yourself, this is the government website. Okay, this is the actual source of truth. And hopefully you will find most of the information you are seeking, answers you are seeking here. And then you can marry them to the other information that I was more practical information that I was trying to give you through this session, or you find from Google or you find from ChatGPT. But make this your single source of truth and your reference when you are building your documents. All right, Ankur, let's now get back to.
Yeah. Let's kind of, yeah, there is a whole lot. So what if the gap of two employment is 1 or 2 weeks? Do we need to mention?
Gap of employment where? If it is continued employment or if it was
Gap of two employment actually. Basically, it's
you can
switching
mention
between
yes.
jobs.
Ideally, yes. Okay, sometimes people skip it and it is not catastrophic. Okay, but I personally like to mention all the gaps. So how, again, a suggestion, a nugget, if you want to take it, how I like to do is I ask my clients to create a table if they are obliging enough to put in their personal history, meaning their education, their employment, their unemployment, or they were waiting for something in a table, not based on month and year, what IRCC asks for, but based on exact dates. So that way, all the gaps are fulfilled, even say a week gap that we were waiting for to start a new job. There was some gap that you ended a job, were waiting to start your studies in Canada. You completed your high school, you were waiting to start your secondary school. All the gaps are covered. Okay, and that's the ideal scenario. But again, those 7, 8 days of gap, I have not seen IRCC create a fuss about it in the personal history.
Okay, the next one is how about foreign work experience that was self-employed as well as working in the organization? I can claim points for both, but how do I declare the overlapping experience?
So overlapping experience, anyway, you are claiming just one experience. It's not as if that if you're working 6 months and then 5 months in that other place or 6 months in other place, and out of that 2 months are overlapping, you can claim 1 year of experience. It is still only 10 months of total experience that you can claim. But self-employed, I tell to everyone, the burden is very high to prove self-employment because you are still expected to prove your responsibilities. You are still expected to prove that you are working more than 30 hours per week. Okay, and please be very, very careful when you're using that self-employed experience. Okay. Again, going with the fact that in past it may have worked for many people, but we are in present, and in present everything is being scrutinized in super detail. So if you were self-employed, meaning there is nobody else who is attesting to your responsibilities. So how do you attest to your responsibilities? Maybe you get a recommendation letter from one of your clients. Maybe you have a contract with someone which clearly defines the scope of work, which has SOW, statement of work, that you are doing. So there could be a number of ways you could justify it, but the burden is still on you to justify the responsibilities, the working hours, and that you were paid in accordance with the hours you were working.
Okay,
Yes.
Pooja, we'll take up your question. We have actually lot too many questions actually already in pipeline. So we'll kind of, really take it up. So Abhishek, so the next one is with regards to if I go on vacation and it's unpaid, and after I came back, I continued in the same role in the same company, so I have to mention as unemployed in personal history and reason as
You
traveling.
have to mention it as unemployed, but be very careful when you're doing your hourly calculation. Because if say you are claiming 1 year, 52 weeks of exact 52 weeks of experience, and those 2 weeks fall in those 52 weeks, then it's a problem. Okay, you don't have to explicitly shout about being unemployed, but because you were not unemployed, you were only on an unpaid vacation. Okay, so you don't have to mention that in personal history, but in terms of hourly calculation, make sure that you are completing your 52 weeks of paid work before claiming that 1 year of experience.
Great. So next one is I went to vacation for 2 weeks to Germany. I already included in travel history. Do I need to include this in address history also?
It's your call. I don't have very strong preference to it because in address history they are really looking for your residential addresses. But if you want to include those 2 weeks of Germany address, it won't harm either.
Right. ECA is only required for highest degree or for all educational certificate?
Highest, it's only required for highest degree because highest degree, it really depends. If your highest degree is master's, yes, the ECA for master's works. But if say your highest degree was bachelor's, but you also did a diploma, then you will have to get it done for both because that will give you additional points.
Right. Proof of funds stated as 19K. After ITA, can I change it for CEC?
As for CC, it's not evaluated. So even if you put as zero, again, I don't like changing things that were claimed in profile. But yeah, if you are not able to show that kind of proof, or just keep the number as is, and in the section where you'll see the proof of funds document, there just say that I am submitting my application in CEC, I am actively employed, this is my active income. So I'm assuming that I am not being evaluated for proof of funds. And that's it. I mean, because nobody will open that document, you are not being evaluated for proof of funds.
I worked back in Sri Lanka for 1.5 years for the same company in the same role, but for two different departments. I listed this as one job as the employer was the same, but I have two service letters from two different department head. Should I list this as two jobs? I got CEC. I have 3 days gap between the jobs.
No, please don't change anything. Make a single cover letter or single document, how it is in your profile. Again, rule of thumb, don't change anything from your profile unless it was a mistake. This was a mistake, but for you, you will really complicate things by dividing it into two. Okay, put a single cover letter and explain the entire situation, what you just wrote in that cover letter. That's it. And also, when I say explain, I don't mean write big SOPs here. Explanation should be objective, keeping in mind thinking what officer is looking for. Okay, officer here is looking for, yes, ideally you should have divided them, but you did not, which is fine. Okay, but and for 3 days you were not unemployed, likely it is not paid because this transfer process was happening. And like you said, it's the same company, so you have that in your favor. So keep it as single experience, don't break it down. Explain in your letter that I was working for this department in the same knock code. There was a unpaid duration of 3 days in between. Then I moved to a new department in the same knock code for the same employer, and I have given my responsibility a letter of responsibilities from both of those departments. But my knock code remains the same, my company remains the same. And if it was paid experience, I don't see it causing any problem at all. Yes, Ankur.
Sorry, is the time of Canadian experience calculated based on the record of employment for a previous job?
No, IRCC unfortunately does not look at record of employment. They are relying on the documents that you are providing them. Okay, so it is counted. It's as simple. Whatever is in your pay stubs, just count your hours, and those are duration hours. Those become your employment. And then, of course, there is employment letter to very clearly justify the start date and the end date. And then again, we are using bank deposits that you were paid. So unless there is a different purpose for the question, that would be my answer.
Okay. Next one is, do I need to do medical before or wait for the request?
If you are sitting in that situation, I just covered that a little bit while back. For me, my suggestion is anyone whose medical is expiring by before in the first half of 2026, you may be better off just doing that upfront rather than waiting for a request, which may cause some delays. Not delay per se, but of course it takes time, right? That they will give you requests, you will get medical done, your medical which will reach IRCC. So just in itself, it may take some time of 7 to 10 days.
I had two jobs as a student and continued with them after PGWP. In my application, I put the start date from PGWP, but my employer letter shows the original hire date. Since I am claiming points only after PGWP, how should I handle this difference?
I think this
That's
is a very,
first
very
part.
normal situation. Okay, that is a very, very normal situation. I personally like to see that if employer is flexible enough just to get that one statement added, that the person started with us on this day, but they were working say part-time, or they were on their student status, and it was on this day that they moved to their worker status or full-time work. something that clearly separates the period out. Even if not, you can clearly explain that in your cover letter. And this is where cover letters for that specific section become so important as far as I'm concerned, that it gives you opportunity to explain to officer the situation before officer starts looking at your documents.
The second part of the same one is I worked from September to December as a part-time employee, but I was working more than 30 hours per week. In my application, I entered September as the start date instead of December. Since I'm claiming this as a full-time experience, is it correct to use September as the start date, even though
It
it
is
began as part-time?
anything. IRCC does not have very okay. So IRCC's definition of full-time work is 30 hours per week. So even if you say your job title may say you were part-time, but if you're working 30 hours per week, IRCC won't question it.
Okay, I think Sanket, we are able to answer your question. It says that I have a concern regarding my PCC. It was issued in May 2025, so it's over now over 6 months old. Since then, I haven't traveled to India, but only to US. Do I
I
still need
answered
to
that.
get a
I
new?
answered that it's valid, and I have
Uh,
given the resource for IRCC website. Refer to it. It very clearly explains that you are all right.
I did medical for study permit in 2023. Is that okay to use?
Yes, it is okay to use. Just make sure that again you are looking at you are still meeting the conditions. Okay, so don't assume it is working. So I will just post the link of the medical ARCC medical expiry. Okay, and it clearly says as to what are the guidelines based on which your medical remains valid. And it has to be only for in Canada applicants. And I can paste the screenshot. Okay, so just that if you are meeting these parameters still, that you are all right, and posting it on the chat. Yes, Ankur, carry on.
And this is all. There is another one regarding this PCC, which says that my PCC was done in March 2025 in India, and I haven't traveled, to India after that. Do I need to
It's
reinitiate the
valid.
police verification?
It's valid.
My PCC is expired, but I didn't travel back to India, so is it okay?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That it's just go through the link that I've sent, and PCC remains valid.
It says it's expired. Okay.
There's
Okay.
no expiry on. I don't know if it is a
Mm-hmm.
country where they put in expiry specifically, but as far as Canada goes, there is no expiry to it unless you have gone back to that country and stayed for a period of more than 6 months, and it's been more than 6 months since your PCC was issued. Those are the guidelines that make the PCC expired.
Mm. Okay. Just a moment.
So,
There's
Abhishek,
I'm
sorry to interrupt, but as you mentioned, right, if the PCC is issued 6 months before, then it is expired.
You are still not listening, Prakhar. I have tried to answer this question 4 times now. It has to be issued within 6 months, but also you have not gone back and stayed there for more than 6 months. It's not an or, it's an and there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
For proving siblings relationship, do we need birth certificate for sure, or does submitting passport work as well?
Come again?
It says for proving sibling relationship, do we need birth certificates for sure, or
Yes.
does submitting passport work?
Uh, Birth certificates are something that is expected. Okay. Or else use your passports, get an affidavit done, and just to make sure that you are in the clear. Okay. But birth certificates is what usually the government IRCC expects.
Documents for common in-laws, common
Uh,
law.
it's a list, but 5409, if I'm not getting it wrong, you have to fill in one form. Okay, it's a fairly easy form. Okay, fill that in, get that notarized. Okay, and that's the minimum you have to do. Put in your lease agreement, utility bill, because you have to prove cohabitation for 1 year. Hopefully, you would have filed your taxes together. That is a very strong proof. And then you can show joint bank accounts. If you have your insurance from work, make sure that other one is declared as partner. What else? That you can have financial transactions that you have been doing to each other. A screenshot of Interac history can help. So yeah, so Basically, you have to prove that you are common law, because don't take, that's a mistake some of the people do, that cohabitation does not default to common law. Common law is a legal relationship when it comes to Canada, and you can be in a live-in relationship, you can be cohabitating with anyone without any strings attached, and that does not make it common law. So make sure that you are not casually using common law for the purpose.
If you're claiming points for master's education, do you need to provide bachelor's WES evaluation?
If you're claiming points for
Master's education,
bachelor's, is not, it's not mandatory.
right? Again, many questions regarding PCC was done on November 24, 2024. Do I apply all over again? I think the
Answer is
answer
still
is
the
no.
same, that if you have
And
not
all,
stayed in home country.
and my medicals were done on March 31st, 2021. Would it be advisable to get it done around March 26th time frame?
Come again?
It says my medicals were done on March 31st, 2021. Would it be advisable to get it done around March 2026 time frame?
Oh, it's not even advisable, you will have to do it. Okay, it's sort of a mandatory. Now, I'm not sure whether this person has an ITA and submitting the file now. If they're submitting the file now, I'll suggest for upfront medical. If they are in pool and expecting the ITA sometime, I'll again suggest to get it done. Okay, so irrespective, if you submit your file after March 26, 2026, you absolutely have to do it, or your file will be refused. Before that, it is something that is advisable that you get done if your submission is before March 26, 2026.
ECA report mentioned university name. I put college name in application.
It works. Just make sure in your cover letter you mention it, because that confusion is always there. I personally, in the profile, like to put in university name and in bracket college name if I think that will show up somewhere. Okay, but you can always explain that. Don't worry about it.
In the past applications, I said no for if any visa was rejected because it was quite old and I forgot. This was US visitor visa. I got a student visa after that. Now that I remember, if I say yes on the PR application, will it cause issues or do I need an LOE for this?
It can cause issues. Okay, and yeah, it's a tough situation you are in. Okay. Now, if you say yes and they know earlier, they could go back in time and see that why that no became a yes. They could trigger all of your records from US. Okay, and if they see that rejection, because see the I can explain in a lot of detail, but you can reach out to me individually. But if there are people in this group, again, I don't want to scare, but the fact is that what IRCC says is that had you told us truth that time, meaning say you were coming as a student, and at that time had you told us that your US visa was rejected, it could have influenced our decision on your study application. Okay, so meaning that you obtained your study permit based on false information, and that can become grounds for misrepresentation. Okay, so again, like I said, you can reach out individually. Okay, can a letter of explanation help? I mean, it's only that you can play your innocence, honest mistake, but I don't know if there is any strong explanation that you are able to provide in that case. Then just simply accept your mistake. So this is one of the situations that it's very hard to answer how this will pan out once you say yes to the question.
What is the dimension requirement for digital photo? Can I use 1 year old photo?
I will just, again, all the requirements are given. Personally, I suggest to always get a new photograph. It's only about $20-30 of investment, but it just takes away that thing. Because see, anyway, when your PR is approved, you will have to upload this photo on a P2 portal. And in P2 portal, they expect definitive dimensions, and they also expect you to put the backside of it wherein there is date and time mentioned for when the photo was taken. Okay, so if you have to get it done at a later point in time, get it done now. Okay, and PR photo, I will just post that link. Okay, it's just that one link that you will find everywhere. It's not a rocket science thing, but please follow that. And in my opinion, yes, please get the photo done again. Okay, just keeps your things simple. Okay, instead of trying to figure out. Yes, Ankur.
Okay. My pay stubs only for Canadian experience or back home also?
For any work experience. You are
Okay.
clear. I told four things: employment letter, pay stubs, bank statements with salary deposits, and lastly, the tax forms. Okay, that's the ideal case. And then what you have, what you don't have is your situation. But this is not about Canada or foreign experience. It's about any work experience for which you claim points.
My salary was just 40,000 rupees per month in India. Is that all right? I was an audit assistant for 3 years. I have bank statements.
Yeah, it does not matter. I hope you are able to secure bank pay stubs as well. Okay, but if not, salary is not a problem in this situation.
Do we need to show our
4,000,
bank statements?
that is not a problem, Pooja. It's not the salary, it's the documents that you are able to submit.
Do we need to show bank statements specifically showing the salary deposits, like highlight them, or can we just submit our
Can highlight
2 to
them.
5
Yeah.
years?
Adobe Acrobat, it has a feature that you can very easily highlight the salaries. Okay, so get all these statements, highlight them, put them together into a single document, and then you're fine.
How many duties and responsibilities should we match with NOC code in the reference letter?
It's not how many, it's what I was discussing a little while back, it's the percentage of it. Okay, so ideally 75 to 90% is a good number. If it is little lower, again, there is no, see, this is not a black and white answer. It comes to officer's discretion. Okay, but at least try and make sure that for the role, primary responsibilities are matching. Okay, and then there can be side responsibilities which could be slightly different. Okay, but primary responsibilities, if officer does not find primary responsibilities matching, they may not accept your knock code.
Okay, and what about nurse? Who is this?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay.
Please go ahead. Who is this?
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
It's me.
It was
Sorry. So basically, my question is like because I'm registered nurse, right?
Yeah.
So even it's a duty difference from here to back home. So it's not make any sense, right? Or it should be 80% as you say.
See, for nurse, you sometimes, like I said, right, it's not black and white, Hardik, that if I read through your responsibilities, you read through your responsibilities, and those are responsibilities of a nurse, then we'll know that you are working as a nurse. Okay, so yes, Nokia SDC may have phrased them differently. Okay, so it's not about the statements, it's not about the phrasing. It really is about, again, it comes from job to job. Okay, so please don't quote me here. But if you're working as a nurse, we will your letter with responsibilities. If anybody is reading through it and they know you are working as a nurse, you are all right.
Okay, Abhishek, there is a question from Rohit. It says, hope we answered you, Hardik. There is a question from Rohit. If it is matching 60 to 70%, what should we do in that case?
I mean, just put your best foot forward. Okay, try and put a table. Okay, by picking the responsibilities that are stated on the NOC ESDC website and try and mapping to all of the single or multiple responsibilities stated in your letter. That what is the mapping that you are trying to do, that okay, for this responsibility, these are the responsibilities in my job letter that map to the responsibilities stated on NOC ESDC website. Okay, so if you are able to create this nice table with the right mapping, I think it should work for you.
Abhishek, just a quick question, please.
Yeah.
Is reference letter the same as employment letter?
Yes, there are multiple names used for it: employment verification letter, employment reference letter. But all of them, the letter that I am talking about is the letter which has start date, end date, your position, your annual salary, your weekly hours, your duties and responsibilities, and then signed by a signatory, authorized signatory with their contact details on a company letterhead. Whatever you want to give this name to this letter is entirely up to you, but that's the letter I'm talking about whenever I say employment letter.
Okay, and that's the mandatory one by IRCC, and then all the rest is supplemental.
Not everything else is supplemental. That proves your responsibilities, meaning that establishes your knock code. You still, everything else is supplemental in terms of, yes, your offer letter, your relieving letter, any other promotion letter, all of that is supplemental. Okay, but the employment letter needs to also be backed by the pay stubs, bank statements that proves that it was a paid employment.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Abhishek, can I ask one question on a different topic, please?
Yes, if
It's
it
Puneet, okay.
that's
Actually,
okay.
Abhishek, there are a lot of questions. Okay.
Let's see how far we can go.
yeah, so it is regarding intent to move outside of Quebec. So, what is the proof these days that we need to
Very,
provide
very
in?
subjective question, no black and white answer, Puneet. That
Okay.
one, I'll tell you just my views in as brief as possible.
Mhm.
One, if you are on open work permit, you make it very difficult for yourself to prove why you're still in Quebec when you are on open work permit. So people on closed work permit, we can still create some kind of a proof that, okay, they were not able to secure a sponsorship or LMIA from outside, that they were not able to move. So people with open work permit, which I'm suppose that's what you are. So one, you will have to prove the thing that you were trying to find job outside of Quebec, but you were not able to secure it. Okay, if you're not even able to do that, you will be in a very difficult situation. Second thing you can do is that if your employer is outside of Quebec, make the move. Okay, you can make the move after the application submission as well, because you will definitely get the question from officer that to prove your intent that you will move out of Quebec. Okay, so if you can just negate that question itself by actually moving out of Quebec, you will make your life easier. Okay, if
Okay.
you are not able to do it, again, if you're able to say secure a new job from outside Quebec and you can prove to officer, okay, I've secured this job and I am now in process of moving out, can help. So there are a number of things that can help, but if you don't have those proofs and you think that officer will magically believe that you will move out of Quebec, because I don't believe. I was in Montreal for 5 years. It's such an amazing city that I wouldn't want to move out of it. Okay. So point
Yeah.
is that I really hope that you actually intend to move out of Quebec, because that is something that should not be taken lightly. And then there can be a number of reasons given on the specific situation that can be created.
Yeah, I honestly I want to, and without friends, I cannot proceed in my career.
That is
So I
one of
want
the
to move.
reasons.
So
Okay, just don't say
yeah,
that because see, you are still living in Quebec, you're still working in Quebec, even though you don't know French. Okay,
yeah.
so that's
Okay.
only one of the supporting reasons that I cannot say build my family in Quebec because I don't know French, that I cannot stay here long term. But don't think that that could be just one of the main or base reasons.
Okay.
Okay.
Noted. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes, Ankur, please continue. Sorry to break your flow.
Right, Abhishek, we are on top of the hour. In fact, more than that.
Yes,
What's the time frame from getting?
let's give the opportunity to people who have raised hand.
I think, Abhishek, we have a lot who have raised the questions much earlier than those who have raised hand. So
Just
let's not break the chain. Actually, I would love to kind of, really answer them all, but I guess you have a meeting coming up then
let's
at
see.
2:30, which
I mean, I think all
which
of
is
the
on top of.
questions are coming in. I really like the questions. They
uh,
are very, very relevant question. I'm sure they are helping a lot of people who are here on the phone.
Right, right. So, okay, let's get on with the question. So, what's the time frame from getting ITA to submission and getting PR? When can we go back to our home country without any risk for a small vacation to our family?
You can always go back to your home country for a vacation if you have authorization to return. The timeline, see, they are varying, but within 3 to 6 months, you can expect your application to be approved and PR to be finalized, because there are two or maybe even three parts to it. One, you submit the application. Then after submission, you get the approval on your application. After that, administrative process starts, which includes a P1 portal mail, P2 portal mail, and then eventually you get your ECO PR. And then once you get your ECO PR, you become Canadian PR. Okay, but yet you are not restricted. Again, it's a very subjective question. The answer is quite long because there are multiple options available. But ideally, you should not travel till you receive your PR card. Okay, so but between submission of your application and approval of your PR, you are free to travel as far as you have the authorization to return. Okay, challenge can be that if someone does not have authorization to return, they submit their application from in Canada and then they are stuck outside Canada. Or say they have submitted application, they are out of status, waiting for PR, but for emergency they have to travel back, they are not able to come back. In that, when your PR is approved, you can get into an administrative mess. Okay, and I have clients who have got into it. Okay, not intentionally, but it can happen, but you'll get out of it, but it can cause considerable delays. Yes, Ankur, move on.
Okay, it
Uh,
says, but Who's this?
Sorry, Vishu. Kind of a off-topic question. Sorry if I'm disrupting. While
Vishu, yeah, go ahead,
okay,
go
okay,
ahead.
you can go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, Vishu. Actually, so because there are a lot of questions which are in pipeline, so that's why I never wanted to
So
break the chain.
let's
But
see.
if
We
it
should
if it
just
is,
go ahead and
yeah.
see if it is something that is related and I can answer, and we can move on from the topic.
Okay. Abhishek, just do we have to be careful about the transactions? Like, if I download the whole e-bank statements from the website or from the app, it does includes my payments which I did send back to India for my loan put which I took up
In
loan
in
from
in,
bank.
in case of CEC clients, the proof of funds is not evaluated at all. So the expectation
No,
that you provide all of your open loans and all, so IRCC does not
so
care.
I'll try to make forward the straightforward question. Like, does IRCC like gonna see my bank transaction going to India very frequently?
They don't care.
Okay.
Great.
Yes.
It says, but NOC code selection is very subjective. That's Rohit actually. I don't
I
know Rohit.
had a little
What?
bit more time. I would have really liked to walk people
Mhm.
through how I do it. Okay, and again, there is still no black and white to it. Give me just 1 second. Okay, I'm just trying to see if I can move my calendar. I may have someone waiting for me. Just give me 1 second, okay? I'll try.
Mhm.
It may be useful for many people here. So give me just 1 second. Uh,
Guys, till the time Abhishek is actually, having a close look at his calendar, I have actually pasted in the chat. There is a promotional offer that we are actually currently running for people who are interested in actually, taking our services. And as I have said in the earlier, this thing as well, meetings, webinars as well, it really doesn't harm. Why? Because, with times changing, actually, it's getting really tough and precarious to kind of, really, you know, do it as per the IRCC's requirement, and any single miss kind of really takes you back, or maybe it really kind of has kind of impacts you, because for many the work permits are expiring. So I have provided for the ongoing promotions. Actually, there is one which is an end-to-end one, which is around 1900 CAD plus a HST, and there is one for the critical review wherein you have so one for 1900 CAD is right after you have gotten an ITA. So we will kind of take you through the entire thing, including the if in case you need support for ADR and PFL till IRCC provides its decision. And then there is something called as a critical review, wherein once you are about to submit an application, we will kind of really see to it that all your application is reviewed, critically reviewed, and we will also support you in your endeavor to kind of really see that in case if there is any IDR or ADR or PFL that's issued, to kind of resolve it. And it would not kind of we would not kind of put a or there is no any this thing on the number of sessions required with Abhishek. He would kind of ensure that all your queries are actually answered till IRCC really, provides its ruling on your specific case. So yeah. So
and
Abhishek,
yeah, let's just jump back. Okay.
mhm.
So
Okay. So
So right now, what we are looking is, I just picked up random knock code, okay? No particular affinity to it. But what you need to understand is that how is the knock code determined, or how is the system designed? System is designed based on what you see in this breakdown summary. Okay, that there is a broad occupational category, there is tier, so second digit is always the tier of the knock code. Then there is a major group, then there is some major group, and then there is a minor group. Okay, so if you are in a situation in this things in these this knockout, usually things are very clear. But if you are in the situation where you're not able to determine exactly what may be a good knock code, is where you can go back, start going step back. Meaning that if I am in a domain working in data but not sure whether it's database analyst, I'll go a step back. Okay, when I go a step back, I see all the other knock codes that are available for that particular domain. Okay, if I'm still not able to determine the exact, so sorry, the exact knock code, I'll go a step further back to the, so what we just did was we went to this minor version. Now we'll go to the sub major version. Okay, and in this, of course, there is not much, but you will see that for some of the things that you will find that different other possibilities appearing in the sub major version. Let's try with this thing. So let's just make it 212. Okay. Okay, so yes. So now you see that within the sub major version, now you are seeing the minor versions. See if any of different minor categories is something that can help you. Meaning that we were earlier sitting in computer system professionals. See if 2123 will help you. Okay, which is different set of knock codes. Okay, if that is still not working, then you can go take a step back further, wherein now you are working with the actual major version. Okay, so and now you see everything. We'll still stick to 2.1, and now you will see different other categories. So it is not, like I said, it's not straightforward, it's subjective, but this will give you a better view. Okay, and then you can maybe try, and if you're again trying to do it yourself, maybe use ChatGPT, maybe use Copilot, give your duties, say that these are the knock codes that I'm working between, or you can work the other way around as well, that you can use ChatGPT, Copilot, they give you answer. Don't try to get exact answer from them because they don't know it, because your responsibilities are only matching 50-60%. The burden is on you that, okay, you pick the knock codes they gave you and then work your way through this and through the system, put in different knock codes, take your best judgment. Also, one step you can take is try and explain in your cover letter, okay, that my responsibilities are such that they are dividing between 2 or 3 different knock codes. I did my research. This is my mapping, why I chose this knock code. But also I looked at this knock code, this knock code, this knock code that could possibly match with my responsibilities. I'm not saying that it will help or not, but it can at least give the entire perspective to the officer on how you approached your process of determining the knock code. Okay, I hope that helped. Okay, I know there is no very easy answer to this one, but that's the best answer I can give in the time that we have.
Abhishek.
Abhishek,
Oh.
yeah. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, just quickly, the bank, because I have a problem with my SIM card from back home, right? So I'm not able to access my bank. However, I did check. I saw some bank deposits, like not for all the salary deposits, just random for some months. So am I just able to put the ones I can
Yes.
find?
Yes, please. Again, like I said, that what I have spoken is the ideal situation. Not all situation is ideal. But if you put in something, at least you are giving officers something to look at other than pay stubs that you were paid. Yes, you are not able to secure all these statements at this point in time, but you have something from the
Okay.
past that you are able to put in. So it is not entirely empty, and it is not just one proof that officer is relying on, and they are looking at multiple proofs.
Okay, so probably I'll just do like 6 bank deposits that I found, or 7.
Yeah, whatever you are able to showcase, put
Mm.
it there. Make sure in index you explain in just
Okay.
1 or 2 lines that I've only been able to find the bank deposit statement for 6 of my salary slips. I wasn't able to figure out the rest because of, say, time has passed, bank account is closed, whatever is the reason.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yes, Ankur.
Abhishek, so next one is I have mistakenly selected wrong NOC code while creating Expres Entry profile. I got ITA. What can I do now?
Oh, that's a very, very bad thing to do. So try and correct it. I mean, what else? I'm assuming it's not a category draw. So I hope it won't hamper to, I hope that your knock code is still tier 3 or higher. Okay, change the knock code. If you are absolutely sure that you selected a wrong knock code, please change it. If it is entirely different, right? You were working as a doctor and you selected engineer. So see if you're able to stick to what you have, and then If you absolutely need to change it, change it. Explain it in your cover letter. Okay, explain the reasons why you chose the knock code earlier and why you are changing the knock code, and make an explicit statement that it is still a tier 2 or a tier 3 knock code. So I'm hoping that it won't affect the criteria, that I believe that I chose it incorrectly and this is what I believe is the right knock code. Make sure what I suggested, present the mapping to IRCC. If the difference is high and you are not able to match those 75, 80, 90% of the responsibilities in the first look. Yes, Ankur.
Yeah. NOC code was 41200. I got rejection of PR because there was lacking one job duties, teaching.
I mean, it's your take, right? 41,200. If you're a university professor and lecturer and you're saying teaching is lacking, how do you even prove it? So that's pretty much the core responsibility, right? There are 10 things listed, you can prove everything else, but if teaching itself is not there, how do you prove that you were a lecturer or a professor? So, it's a very judgment call here, but I don't think I will be able to continue on this. You have to take a judgment call that this is not about numbers, it's about proving the primary responsibilities. Okay, like someone asked about nurse. Okay, they may have something entirely different listed there. Okay, but if you can read through it and you're smart enough to understand that whether the responsibilities you are reading are those of nurse or not. Okay, they may not match at all to what is stated. Okay, they may not work with x-rays, they may not work with labs, but they may be working with something else that clearly established that they are nurse. Okay, so you're saying you were a professor or a lecturer, but you were not teaching. How do you even prove that you were working in that knock code? Okay, so sorry for being a little blunt here, but I don't mean anything negatively, but just be very careful on how you're approaching this.
I selected one family member only instead of two, but I have the spouse as accompanying, and everything is set at both of us. Only in question saying how many family members it was. One. If I change now, is it an issue?
No. Okay, so I'm assuming the family member is a child. No, it is not an issue. Okay, because in terms of the points you are allocated, that your family member, if it is a spouse, they have to be there, either accompanying or non-accompanying. And then if there is a child, it matters in terms of sorry, I've been carrying this for a while. It matters in terms of the proof of funds. But I'm assuming you are a CEC candidate, so proof of funds are not a question in this scenario. So it could have been a problem, but change it. But also in proof of funds, there is a section, there is a separate document you will have to upload there. Make sure you explain this to officer. Okay, that I didn't understand the question very properly. So I had selected one family member or two family member, but in fact we are three. Okay, but also I understand that for CEC category, proof of funds is not something that is evaluated. So I hope that won't be a problem and it is not changing or my profile in any shape or form or my CRS score. Yes, Ankur.
Okay. It says proof of funds stated as 19K. However, after ITA, can we change it for CEC?
Again, I
I
answered this
don't think.
for CEC
Yeah.
proof of funds are not mandatory. Ideally, you should not be changing it. If you have to change it, don't change it. You can make a statement that I am actively working in Canada. This is my active income. Okay, and I'm applying in CEC category, so I'm assuming that proof of funds are not evaluated or something similar. Okay, but nobody is looking at that document. Okay, because that's not a evaluation criteria at all for CEC draws.
Have you applied for Express Entry? I selected yes before, but I only had the profile. Does it matter if I change it now?
Wait, come again?
Change it to no. Okay.
Come again?
It says that that have you applied for the answer question was have you applied for Express Entry? I selected yes before, but I only had the profile. Does it
A
matter if
lot
I
of
change
people
it
make that
to no?
mistake. A lot of people make that mistake, but it's not catastrophic. Okay, officer won't hold you against it. So not the right thing you did, but it's not something that will hurt you in any way.
I do have the bachelor's degree now, but my tier one job started before I completed my bachelor's degree. Can the work experience before completion of bachelor's degree be eligible for CC?
It's a very subjective question. Okay, back home in Canada, it is not. Back home, yes, they don't mind that a little bit. Okay, so make sure you are providing all the proofs, and then hope officer won't raise any question. I have not seen officer raise any questions on this one. I just haven't done any of such case in past 2 or 3 months wherein things have changed. But I don't think you will be, from technical standpoint, I don't think you are in a problem.
Mm, okay. The next question is with regards to for foreign work experience, I have reference letter, job offer letter, pay stubs for entire duration, certificate of completion of 1 year, and the company tin. Is that enough for cash job? It was a third world country.
Yeah, please explain yourself. Just explain that it's a cash economy and try and explain yourself best you could, best you can. And from what you're saying, that it likely can stick.
Hmm. Okay. Job offer letter, experience letter, salary certificate, all good to include?
Yes.
Great. Now, okay. Uh, Many people are actually asking this about the expired PCC. I don't know. It says, you know, I have expired the PCC, but I didn't travel to India after that. Is
It
it
was.
okay to or get a new
And
one?
I also posted the link if you go a little above that it's not my source. Okay. It's the IRCC source. Okay. I'll share my link again. It's the IRCC website, which clearly determines what is valid, what is not. Okay. And in this link, okay, and the link is that where I showed all of the objective parameters based on which your profile is evaluated by the immigration officer. Okay, if you come see this one, I'm just resharing for everyone. And Ankur, please don't bring in any more PCC questions. I'm just telling you for
Mm,
the last time. Go and
sure.
read these requirements. Okay, they very clearly say that if you got PCC and you have not stayed in that country for more than 6 months, it is a valid PCC. Okay.
Right. Next one is I'm anticipating ITA in Jan through PNP. Express entry, I may lose my job in coming year. How should I explain this to IRCC and what impact it may have?
Uh, it should not have a big impact. Really, CPNP is, I'm not able to figure out which stream you're talking about. But if it is Express Entry PNP, and I'm assuming it's not based off employer support, that you can continue to work. But if it is a PNP that is based off employer support, then it could be a problem that you have to inform
It's express entry PNP, Abhishek, I
the
think.
Express Entry PNP. There are many different provinces. Okay, so I'm really not sure. If it is, say, I can give example that if it is Express Entry PNP for, say, skilled trades for OINP. Okay, so in that case, even if you lose your job, it's not a problem.
It is for tech pathway, Alberta PNP.
Well,
Abhishek.
Alberta Tech Pathway is an employer job offer stream. So if you lose your job,
Mm,
technically your nomination may not be valid.
okay.
Okay, sorry.
Does unpaid vacation considered unemployed? Is it supposed to be explained in LOE?
Come again?
Does unpaid vacation considered unemployed?
No,
Uh,
unpaid
is it supposed to be
vacation.
explained in LOE?
Unless there is a very big reason to explain, I don't like to get into those. I've never explained an unpaid vacation. I just say complete your hours in terms of years of experience for which you are claiming points based on which you got the ITA, and you should be all right. You don't have to explain any of the breaks until, of course, it was a bigger break, something intended, unintended, I don't know. But I don't like to explain too many on the things that officer is not even looking for, and then you are forcing officer to look into something.
Hmm. For
Pointing
the
that
dependent
out,
app,
that there is a purpose to it, I don't know why you would want to explain it. Okay, and how do you explain it? Okay, you can always just say that it was unpaid leave. Then what? Now what? Okay, there has to be purpose of the explanation, right? And if explanation is not resulting in anything, you're not hiding anything. Okay, so don't think that you
No,
will.
Abhishek, if I went to India for the unpaid vacation, I have to explain it, right?
Why?
I don't need to explain, like there's a gap between my paychecks.
So your paychecks will speak for themselves, right? That's what I'm saying. Just complete your hours. Okay, so in that case, if you are skeptical, what I like to do is just put in a table, okay, which says start date of the payment period, end date of the payment period, the hours that you worked in that period, and then the hours that you are counting for that period, because you understand, right? You cannot count more than 30 hours. So if you put in the table, and then there will be a pay period that will come in that will say 0 hours, 0 hours, and that will explain it itself. Okay, because there is no, if you are worried that officer may think you are hiding something, you can put in this table. Don't explicitly going make statements about that I was on unpaid leave for this period. I don't think that visually it looks good on your application. Let officer arrive at inference from the information you are providing. Okay, and this table I think is a great way of establishing 1 year hours. I, especially for the jobs where hours are not consistent, I actually put in this table for all of those jobs. Okay, so but point is that let officer make the decision. Okay, and then you should not give that information which especially is not working in your favor. But yet in this table, if you give all the information, officer will know that it was unpaid work. Now it could be that you were in Canada, you were outside of Canada, it does not matter. Okay, that you were not paid for the period, you are not counting for the express entry, which is what I think officer is looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Abhishek, like, but when you submit for the ITA, like when you applying for the PR and haven't got the ITA, the date at which you submit your application, at that date your hours was not complete. But the day you got the ITA, the hours got completed. So can we show the gap, or should we not show the gap?
See, it's not about gap in this case. Question is slightly different in terms of hours. So the IRCC
So
system.
let me make it simple. Like if there is a 1 month shortage for 2 years of experience, and the a person has already put 2 years of experience while submitting the
So see,
PR.
you are not putting, so I'm assuming everybody has put in their profile right now, okay, who are on the call and understand the system of profile creation. You never
Yes.
tell IRCC that you have completed 2 years. What you tell IRCC is what's the start and the end date of your experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? So,
And
and
then
it is IRCC system which is giving you points 1 month in advance for 2 years of experience or 3 years of experience or even 1 year of experience. So nowhere you are lying anywhere. So question is here that even if you receive ITA while you are short on experience, okay, so I'm going a step forward from what you asked. Okay, so say you receive an ITA today and you have not completed your 2 years of experience, but IRCC gave you the ITA based on 2 years of experience. Just complete that period and get the latest employment letter, get the latest pay stub, and then submit your application to IRCC because it is not your fault that IRCC is giving you points ahead of time.
got it. Thank you so much.
Abhishek, okay. Yeah. Next one is for dependent applications. Should the dependent's travel history be added under both the primary applicant and the dependent profile, or only under the dependent profile?
Only dependent under the dependent profile. So each application, you will get section for each of the person. So which is you, your spouse, and your child, if it is there. And whatever is true for them is true for them. Whatever is true for you is true for you. So just put in that information that way. Again, sorry if I
Uh,
understand the intent of the question, but I mean that's the answer that I have right now.
in addition, do we need to include the travel history of all family members as well?
Again, I don't understand the intent of the question. If it is you, your spouse, your kid,
Pooja, you may speak up actually, if that's okay by you.
Yeah, I noticed that in the application that it's been asked to add the family history of ourselves and our family members. So that's where I got confused. Do I just need to include my travel history or my entire
and
family?
you are mixing again too many things, Pooja. So I have sent a screenshot. I don't know at
Mhm.
what point you joined. So there is one thing is family history,
Okay.
wherein you are expected to. There are so family history is divided into two parts. One
Hmm?
is you and your dependents, meaning you, your spouse, your kids. Second part is the history about your parents, your siblings. So for parent siblings, you just have to mention them. There is no other thing there is no other placeholder to provide anything else. For the people who are part of the application, which is you, your spouse, your kids, there is a travel history and there is a section you will get for it, and you can just put in whatever is the true information in that section.
Okay, so it's just going to be the applicant's travel history then.
So where would you put in I mean, yeah, no, I know I get the point, but no, there is no, as far as your parents and sibling go, there is no place to enter that information, and IRCC is not interested in that information.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
Mhm. Then there is one. I got an affiliated degree from Scotland, but studied in Sri Lanka and never traveled to Scotland. But the degree was offered from Scotland University. But my WES evaluation showed the country as Scotland. How would I justify this? Will they ask for a PCC from Scotland?
No, whatever you just told me, just put it there. So distance learning is valid. It's accepted. And if WES has evaluated your degree as a valid degree, then it is a valid degree. And you did not travel to Scotland, then how they won't even give you a PCC. Okay, so no, just whatever you told me in a couple of lines, just put that in your cover letter for the education history.
Okay. Uh, then there is another one. Back home, my payslip is very simple since it is a fixed salary. It does not show daily work details. It only mentions my name, position, employer, and salary amount. Will this be acceptable for IRCC or do I need to provide additional proof?
See, that's the whole point that I keep repeating myself, that employment letter, it states your weekly hours, the pay stubs in whatever shape or form you have, bank statements showing the salary deposit, and tax form if you have any. Collectively will fairly easily prove that it was a genuine employment where you were paid. And hopefully, because it is in past, it was declared very clearly to IRCC in all the applications that you submitted.
Uh, I flagpoled at US-Canada border for my PGWP. Do I answer yes to the question that relates to USA or other country visa denials?
Come again?
I flagpoled at US-Canada border for my PGWP. Do I answer yes to the questions that relate to US or another country visa denials?
So you flagpoled, you never, it's not a denial. I mean, even when you flagpole, officer very clearly writes that just entering back in Canada. So it's not a denial of entry or anything. It's just flagpoling. So no, that answer remains no. Until you were actually physically refused a visa of that country.
My medicals were done on March 31st, 2021. I'm currently in India. Can I get it done here or it has to be done once I travel back to Canada?
Anywhere, you can get it done anywhere, doesn't matter.
Uh, my experience letter states no objection certificate. So is it fine?
Doesn't matter as far as it has all the information.
Okay. Do we need to mention NOC code number along with job duties in foreign employment letter?
I don't prefer it because I don't expect foreign employers to be knowing about NOC, and sometimes it may seem that you have referred the knock code to your employer, meaning that you have influenced the letter that is supposed to come from the employer. So I personally have never ever put in a knock code for a foreign employment. Till this point, it has not been an issue. I really hope IRCC don't go crazy on this one.
My spouse started work in August last year and proceeded on unpaid leave in March 2025 to go and give birth. How do we prove 1 year Canadian work experience? Because August 2024 to May 2025 is 10 months.
Sorry, come again. I need this question
It
again.
says my spouse started work in August last year and
Yeah.
proceeded on unpaid leave in May 2025 to go and give birth. How do we prove 1 year Canadian work experience?
Not,
Because
not,
August 2020,
not Canadian work, 1 year of Canadian work experience. You cannot prove it.
I have one full-time and one part-time. I take 1 month off on part-time. Uh, I need to explain why I take off my ITA based on full-time job.
Doesn't matter if you're able to prove your hours properly. Don't have to explain yourself unnecessarily, because again, like I was answering someone else, there is no explanation to be provided. Okay, try and be objective. to understand what IRCC is looking for. What IRCC is looking for, that were you pay, what was your duties, what was your knock code, were your hours matching the hours that IRCC expects for the points that they are giving you or allocating you for, say, 1 year experience, 2 year experience? Was it all of the job was on the right status while you were in Canada? So as far as you are meeting that, mention them everything very clearly, and it should take care of itself. And like I was just
I
suggesting, someone put in a table if you want to, and then it will be very clear to IRCC where you are coming from.
I made a mistake when I create profile job title.
You can explain that. Okay, so what I like to do is that I don't like to change the job title in the work history, but what I do is that in the actual job document there would be a section, and in that I put a heading in which I'll put the actual job title, and by putting in the job title that you mentioned in the Expres Entry profile in brackets, or the other way around, that I put what you put in the Expres Entry profile and put your actual job title in brackets.
There is one from developmental support worker
Can I
versus
speak?
developmental service worker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so basically, I just realized that I made a mistake with my employment letter said developmental support worker, and I put developmental service worker in
Yeah,
application, and I
that's
get
all right. Don't worry too much. Okay, just put developmental support worker. Don't change anything in your profile. Okay, just keep it as is. Okay, and then put developmental service worker, and in bracket just say developmental support worker.
Okay, the next one is will the bilingual birth certificate work? For example, English translation just written just below Gujarati language.
Works. It works.
Okay, but then there were kind of, a few questions. I can see Rahman. Rahman, would you like to ask your question, please? Rahman, you can unmute and ask your question, please. There was one from Jesse as well. I don't know if, yeah, Rahman, please go ahead.
Yeah, my questions, there are two. One is a question, one is a clarification. So let me begin with the clarification. I just saw on IRCC website that if you are in Canada, and I want to reference it so that I get it. Yeah, it says that if you are in Canada and you are applying for PCC for permanent resident, you don't need to do that, because when they need it, they will contact you to get it. It says you don't need to provide a police certificate when you apply for permanent
So
residence.
I understand that. So Rahman, for some certain countries don't provide the PCC till there is a request from IRCC. So if it is one such country and you are citing IRCC source, so for PCC, just put a screenshot for that particular link that for my country, I need request from IRCC, and IRCC understands that.
So, like, do you know for sure, like country like Ghana?
I don't know for country like Ghana itself specifically, but I know that there are many countries like Iran, and there, I don't recall some of the Israel as well, that they don't give you PCCs until there is a request from, not Iran, I think Israel 100%, that they don't give you PCC until there is a request from IRCC. I'm assuming it is very something similar for Ghana. Okay, and if IRCC website itself is saying that you need a request from IRCC, just put in that screenshot and it will work out for you. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah, my other question has to do with so if you work with an agency, and for the agencies, normally getting employment verification letters from them, you go through a lot. It's not easy to get from them. So in that case, well, you are paid, you get your money through the bank, you have your pay stubs and everything. How do you navigate the employment verification letter form?
It has to still come from your agency because they are your employer. You can definitely get a letter of recommendation from your actual client where you are working, but the letter of employment has to come from your employer.
Yeah, so the difficulty here is that what if they are not willing to give you? How do you navigate?
There is very little you can do. You have to just ask them. Okay, because I mean, you can try getting a letter of recommendation from your actual place of work. That might work, but see, they are not responsible for your pay. They are not responsible for your position. All of that is coming from your employer, which is this agency. Okay, and the burden is on you to figure out, negotiate, try and work with the agency and get this letter from them, because it will be extremely important. Even if you get any support letters from your actual place of work, that may or may not be sufficient. It will make your situation subjective.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
That answers Rahman. Abhishek, there is one from Tariq. Tariq, would you like to ask your question, please? Tariq, you can unmute and ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. Please go ahead.
So, for the foreign work experience, like I have 2 years, 11 months. So actually claim for 2 years. So the responsibility letter is giving my manager. So the responsibility is there, the way Abhishek said. But the employment, the duration, hours, that is like in HR document, towards two separate letter. Will it create any problem, or in the single letter, it has to be everything?
Ideally, it has to be a single employment letter that IRCC is looking for.
So in that case, if the manager gives a single letter, does it work?
Manager can work. Okay, IRCC of course does not know who is the manager, who is the HR. Okay,
But
as far as it has start date, end date. Again, I just keep repeating the same thing like a parrot, but it is start date, end date, designation, your salary, your weekly hours, your roles and responsibilities. As far as that letter has all of this, it works.
But
If not, I'm not saying the other thing won't work. Okay, but all I'm telling you is what is the right thing to do here. If you can get a single letter, it will work better.
But in that case, it will just show that manager is not HR manager, right? It will show my supervisor, for example, like
Which is
director.
fine, which is acceptable. So there could be, based on the organization structure, there could be many authorized signatories. Okay, so if
Okay.
it's your supervisor or manager who is signing your letter, it is acceptable 100%.
Because my company was a very big company, like they have like 50,000 employees in 40 countries. So usually they don't give one document. Even the responsibilities, I have to get the document from a manager. So manager can write it, but that's not the standard
I
process.
get your point. The usual process is that you'll reach out to HR. HR will get those responsibilities from your manager and then put everything down into a single document. Okay, so in your case, I'm assuming that they went to HR, or you went to, or sorry, your manager, you went to your manager and you just got a separate document straight from your manager. So it can possibly work, or it will likely work. Okay, I don't see why it won't work. But suggested thing is that if you can try and get a single letter, or else just put in these two letters and explain in a couple of lines why they are separated out.
So in my because this is a foreign work experience, so in my HR, they will not give document with responsibilities. Like they'll give the employment document, like the hours, the passport, everything, whatever they need, but they will not give the document with the responsibilities. So is it just better to give one document from the manager with hours, everything, or is it better to give two
Yeah, I
documents?
think one for manager will work better in this scenario. I hope it would be on company's letterhead. Okay, it
Yeah.
should. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and how they will email in that email that my manager for verification.
Usually they don't reach out, to be very honest. Okay, but yeah, if they reach out, they can call your manager or email based on the contact information that you have provided.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate you.
No worries.
Hi, Abhishek and
Puneet,
Ankur. Yeah, I
please
have
go
to.
ahead.
Yeah, I have to ask a follow-up question because I'm getting conflicting advice from RCICs, so don't mind it. It is
Okay.
related to US visa administrative denial at the border. So one of the consultants say you have to answer yes to the question while you said no. So I just want to make sure unnecessarily putting yes, I'm not making my application non-routine or complex. So just want to ask you
Yeah.
that opinion.
So
Yeah.
you are talking about flag pulling, right?
Yes. Yes.
I've never put flag pulling as something that was a rejection. Okay. I mean, I did flag pulling myself. Okay. So this is not even, I'm hearing from something. I did flag pulling for my PR. Okay. And you are not considered that you ever entered US. It is just that they give you a slip, right? On that slip, they clearly write that you are being rerouted into Canada. Okay. So
Yeah, but
for me,
I don't remember getting that slip and I don't have it. Also asked for my other friends who did around same time with me, but they also never got that small slip. So I don't know how to prove that. But yeah, go ahead.
but I'll be very surprised if IRCC makes a fuss about it. To be honest, I have I've never put flag polling as a refusal.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean I can only tell my view. Okay, so
Mhm.
the RCIC may have a better view if some of their say PR got refused because of this, but I'll be
Oh,
very surprised if such a thing resulted in a refusal. To be honest.
okay.
Okay.
I mean, there is a text box below that question, and we could always expand. But my
Entirely your call. Okay, I'm like I said that I have never had such a situation that I'm able to answer this from your
okay,
perspective, and I see your concern here.
okay, perfect. Thank
Abhishek, then there is another one. It says there is a surname mistake from my side versus to my family side. I claimed sister PR point. How do I explain?
There have to be affidavits that need to go in. There have to be right documents that go in, and yeah, hopefully it will work out.
Uh, my workplace is different and employer mentioned headquarter address both in Canada and foreign.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, when you are filling in the application form, there is very clear section on what they are expecting. And usually, I can tell you in work experience, you would have already filled it in your profile. They expect your usual location of work in Canada. So just put in that.
Okay. Then there
Headquarters
is
can
one
be
from
US, headquarters can be in Europe. Who cares? Okay, they expect the the actual place of work, and which can be client location as well.
Can I include my master's degree I got from home in my education history while filing for OINP? If yes, the question, have you been awarded a valid Canadian degree, college diploma or certificate or a high school diploma for this education?
No, you can always say no to that, and then it will ask about whether you have ECA for it or not.
Tariq wants to ask some question. Go ahead, Tariq, please.
Sorry, I just have a follow-up question. So my like designation and for the response, for example, like my designation was like technical product manager, which is comes to like not there is no technical product manager no code. So it comes under like a tech manager, like software engineer manager. So this is fine, right? Because the title is not matching, but the responsibility is matching. Do you have to do any affidavit or anything for that?
No, no affidavit will help here. Just the right responsibilities will help.
Just the right responsibilities and the different designation. Do I have to do something for that designation?
Scenario, yeah, it will be all right.
Do
Designation accepted.
okay.
I put headquarter location while creating profile and I get invitation. What do I do? Uh, should I decline ITA?
Not to the point. If headquarter was in Canada, it is all right. If headquarter was outside Canada, then it makes it awkward. Okay, but ideally, like I said, they expect location of usual work and try and explain it in your cover letter for that particular employment. I think you may be all right.
I think Abhishek, that's that. We are on, we have kind of, exceeded much beyond our usual closing time. But it was kind of, nice for all of you to kind of, really ask all these questions. We are happy to kind of, really always answer. And yeah, feel free to kind of, reach out to us separately as well. There is kind of, basically a promotional offer as I've reiterated actually earlier as well. And I'm reiterating it that there is a promotional offer which is actually are running, and I'm pasting that particular thing again. So for all those who would want us to kind of, really help you with this entire thing after you have received the ITA, we would be happy to do it. So there are two parts to it. One is wherein we go end to end till the IRCC kind of, provides us decision on your application. And second is if you want us to kind of, have a critical review of your application once you have filled in and till, and it goes even beyond even if there is a ADR or PFL actually issued, we'll try to kind of, really resolve it for you and wait for IRCC's decision. And as I said, in both the cases, there is no any cap on the number of sessions which are required with you. Abhishek will kind of personally sit with through these sessions and will try to kind of resolve to the best of his ability and do the needful. So yeah, thank you so much. And you can alternatively even reach out to us. The in fact the I'm pasting again the contact details. You can kind of really reach out to us on that, and we shall be happy to kind of answer your queries and concerns. Yeah.
Well then, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Akur.
Yeah,
Have a good
no problem.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye bye. Bye.